is my concern, though, with the Detroit Lions. When you run man coverage the way that Kelvin Sheppard runs man coverage, it's hard to be an elite defense running that. Now, playing man coverage it's really good against the pass if you have a good pass rush. Now, when you don't blitz, right, they run a certain man coverage where they just depend on the front to get home. You need to have elite pass rushers. You know, you think about the Denver Broncos when they had Von Miller and all of those guys, right? They could each get to the pass rusher. You look at Detroit, the only guy that can really get to the pass rusher is Aiden. And I got something for you guys. There's a huge dip and a huge drop when Aiden is in the game compared to when he's out of the game. When he's in the game, they have a 40% pressure rate. That's third. That's high. That's behind the Vikings and the Broncos. When he's not, it's 22%. That is dead last in the NFL. So there's that part of man coverage. Now, the thing that I hate the most about man coverage, it is not good against the run. So when I think about Kelvin Sheppard and I think about this defense, they have the pieces. I just don't like how he runs man coverage so often. Right. You have the pieces offensively. You got them defensively. I just don't like the system, Mitch.
All right, so let's talk about what Manti Te'o had to say. He talked about he don't like Kelvin Sheppard's scheme, the man-to-man, make you weak against the run. Fortunately, the Lions are a really good run-defending team, you know what I'm saying? So that really is not an issue, but he brought some things up, and people in the comment section on Instagram, it's like, yeah, see, I don't like his scheme. It's the same scheme Aaron Glenn was running. Aaron Glenn only started blitzing when they started getting injured. They playing man-to-man scheme without blitzing. I don't like it neither. Because if you don't get home with your front four, it's the same way if you weren't a Tampa 2. One of the major reasons that the Tampa 2 work, the first main reason is you got to get rushed, your down four linemen got to get there. Whether they Sapp, Simeon, Rice, you know, whoever it is, they got to get there. And then the middle linebacker in that defense is important because it covered a hole between between the two safeties. It covered that hole behind the linebackers in front of the two safeties. So the two safeties have deep responsibility, right? Most likely to the boundary and to the middle, but really straight down the middle responsibility is Derek Brooks, Brian Urlacher. But it don't work if the front four don't get pressure. It doesn't work. It doesn't work if the corners are not good at reading the quarterback and reacting. You know? So regardless, you got to get home with four. If not, then you have to be exotic with your blitzes. But it's not a Kelvin Sheppard problem. It's not an Aaron Glenn problem. It's what Dan Campbell wants. Dan Campbell wants a defensive coordinator that's going to play man-to-man and not blitz. That's what he wants. This is why they put such emphasis on stopping the run. This is why. Because they get all these big run stoppers because they know they're going to be vulnerable stopping the run. Because of the man-to-man, because everybody back is turned to the quarterback. You know, and then they only start blitzing when they're injured, and then they only start running zone when they start to get injured. This is not, like I said, this is not exclusive to Kelvin Sheppard. Aaron Glenn was the same thing. People forget, Aaron Glenn was so much, y'all was complaining about Aaron Glenn off and on his whole tenure. Oh, I don't like the scheme. Oh, and then he got 50 injuries. And it seemed like he only was allowed to get creative when they had injuries. He started calling blitzes at Malafano from the nickel. They'll start sending 5 and 6. They'll start playing zone and mixing exotic coverages up, getting exotic, only when they got injuries. Dan Campbell wants that man-to-man defensive coordinator. That's why he picked Kelvin Sheppard. That's the philosophy. Therefore, when you start going man-to-man, you've seen it week 1 versus Green Bay, rub routes, all these different routes that beat man-to-man, crossing routes. If you don't get home or get a hand up in the quarterback face, he got clean throwing lanes. Also, you put your corners in a position at a disadvantage. Because when you don't get home now, you can't press the corner. You can't press that corner past 5 yards. You can't press them, so you got to let them go after 5. So now I gotta let him go after 5. And then my pass rush don't get there, and the quarterback, like 90% of the quarterbacks, 85% are mobile. You know what I'm saying? Then, now we playing, catch the toddler running around at the park, catch the puppy running around at the park without a collar and with no training. Now you just running around playing scramble drill, and that's hard for any corner. So it does need to be a multi-defense. Oh, we know they in man-to-man. They do need to play more zone. I'm not saying it should be a 50-50 split, but they need to play more zone. This is why they struggle versus mobile quarterbacks, because when you in man-to-man, guess what? You covering your man. If you a linebacker covering your man, if you a safety in man-to-man coverage, if you a safety in the hole, spine in the hole, or dropping in that hole, you single high, you watching your quarterback, but you really can't commit until he break the line of scrimmage. So linebackers, corners, anybody in man-to-man coverage got their back to the quarterback. Now it's up to your defensive lineman to chase the quarterback down into the corners. They don't believe in spying. Remember a couple years ago when Aaron Glenn was the defensive coordinator, the whole talk was like, why do y'all spy? And he was like, oh, this is Calvin Sheppard. Like, this is what, you know what I'm saying? This is not a Calvin Sheppard thing. Aaron Glenn was the same way. This is the scheme that Dan wants to run. And he talked about without Hutch being in there, they got one of the best pass rush rates. When he's not in there, they lack. Guess what? They needed help. Still, they got Lynn McNeil back. That'll help. Okay? You got him back. That'll help. You hope Derek Moore, but DJ want him. Is that enough? Another year up off of injury. Lebar Enrique, is that enough? Will Tyleek Williams make that step? Is that enough? They let Cameron Jordan go back to the Saints. I heard an interview that Brad said we not done this offseason. And this is why people saying go get Crosby, go get Sweat, put that position over the top. But there needs to be a change in philosophy. And that don't come from Calvin Sheppard. That comes from Dan Campbell. He wants to play man-to-man coverage. He wants that scheme. Now, do we play? They only play zone. And then when they play zone, they don't know how to play it because they never play it. They play a soft zone because they have injuries, whether it's in the back end or front end or the middle of that defense. Now we forced to play something that we haven't practiced a lot or we haven't played a lot. And now they can't pass zones on or squeeze zones on or understand high-low concepts. And now they're getting gashed. There needs to be more balance and there needs to be more blitzing. Not just blitzing on third down. If I know you in man-to-man coverage, you doubling somebody. Somebody might be spying. Somebody might be doubling. It's easy, bro. It's easy. He ain't lying, but that's not a Calvin Sheppard thing. That's what Dan Campbell wants. That's what Dan Campbell wants. And they need to get more exotic. And I heard Calvin Sheppard said he studied other defense. Will you be allowed to be exotic? Because, the numbers wasn't bad when they was healthy last year. And they did a great job at stopping Lamar. But once again, it's similar to the conversations we have about Jalen Duren. Some conversations we, in other channel, have about Victor Wembanyama. Oh, if he don't do it now, he'll never do it. He's a finished product at 21, 20, 23 years old. Oh, year one, if he don't do it now, he won't be good. It's a process. Everybody think one try, you're going to be great. I hate that train of thought. I hate it, bro. It takes time. Everybody not going to be a prodigy. Shout out to my beat, rest in peace, Prodigy. Day one, year one. You come back a little bit better. You come back. Michael Jordan got kicked off didn't make the basketball team as a freshman. Still went on to be one of the greatest. We'll say, oh, Michael, you ain't make it as a freshman? You ain't make varsity as a freshman? Oh, man, you need to go, man, don't never play basketball. Get out of his cat. And then guess what? You never had the greatest basketball player of all time. I don't understand this generation. If you ain't good today, first time you ain't gonna never be good, man. Please, man. Come on, man. Practice make perfect, bro. But hey, hit the link in the description. Find me on X, Facebook, Kick, Twitch, Instagram. Everything in the link tree. Peace.